Welcome to Mayor's Moments. I'm Jim Larkin, and joining me is Willowbrook Mayor Rich Bondy. Welcome. Been a while.
It has been.
You have a good summer?
It's been a good summer. It went by so fast, and it was such a cool summer.
Some of us like it.
I know. I hate heat, but it was. We did the peace poll for the Memorial Garden, and that was pretty exciting. I think it's gonna be difficult for this year's fifth grade to outdo that. We've got some ideas on getting some pen pals either from kids in the inner city or our senior citizens. We're trying to kind of get some new ideas for them. And then we, of course, they had the festival and the parade, and did a fitness program for a weekend at Dudley that was new this year, and they want to do a run with it next year, and I'm okay with that. It just you got to plan a run a year in advance. And then, of course, we did the water show, which is always huge, and the circus, which is always huge. We had 1,100 people at the circus this year and 600 people at the water show.
That's good.
So they did Frozen. So it was kind of cool. So
it's always
really
a good
creative.
show.
It is. It's a lot of fun.
They do a nice job.
The recreation department had great groups of people working for us this year. We had great day camp counselors and great lifeguards, and you could see that in the creativity of the water show. And also, we even did a readers theater for the 5 and 6 year olds in day camp, where they actually read some fairy tales, and then they put on a play based on those fairy tales. Wow. And it's about 250 people come to watch these little kids put on this play at the community building. It's
they go with costumes too, or
yeah,
oh, cool.
Yeah, and it's a culmination of the summer day camp. And then some of the kids are crying because day camp's over, and they're hugging their counselors. It's very, very nice. It's kind of cool. So I like that a lot. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So it was a good summer.
Good summer. How's finances? Let's ruin it.
That's what pays for the summer, I guess. We're doing okay. We're going to have a real decent carryover, but as we explained to City Council in the beginning, that we always project our income low and we project our expenses high, and it never turns out that way, and we always end up spending less and taking in more. This year it doesn't look like that's going to happen, so we may reduce the carryover a bit, but then we sold some property, and we've got another windfall coming in there from a police investigation, and so I could be putting close to $500,000 back into the general fund, but as we're explaining to City Council, that's a one-shot deal.
Oh yeah.
You can't spend that on salaries and wages. You either got to leave it sit, or I've got to put it in the capital projects, one of the two. And last year we did a lot of capital projects that we fell behind on. We did the exterior of the Dudley Field House. That's a real popular building to rent. Out of all of our buildings, that's the most popular. And we did some other things in this building. We are going to be redoing the dispatch area. We'll talk about that in a minute when we get to the police department. We also bought a new street sweeper, and we bought a new fire truck and a new rescue squad, and we'll be showing those and talking about those in a minute. So those are all capital items. Did a lot in the roads this year, not as much as I'd like to, and the problem with that is, everybody feels that the worst road in the city that needs to be resurfaced is theirs. That's right. And we have 72 streets in this city. I'm lucky to be able to get 5. As one of my discussions with City Council was, we are falling behind in road repair. And the reason for that is we used to take in by our road levy $860,000 a year. Now we're only taking in $750 because the property values went down across the whole county, actually across the whole United States. And when that happens, our income goes down. People always say, well, my property taxes went up. Well, not to Willowick they didn't. Anything that was a levy based on property values went down. And so, especially those that are involving capital improvement. So a road levy takes in over $100,000 less. So we're able to do less. And then the costs are more. And then this year was unusually difficult because we had such a harsh winter and we had to do a lot of repairs to the roads. You know, I get people making comments on places like social media saying, well, how come you're not fixing the roads? They're out every day fixing the roads. There's a crew of 5 guys, and that's all they do is cement and asphalt. We had to hire a company to come in and do the expansion joints and some of the lateral joints on 305 and Bay Ridge. Now, Bay Ridge, it's the far end up by the freeway. That's the worst. For 305, it's closest to the to Lakeshore Boulevard, which is the worst. Expansion joints are in the middle.
Right.
And then the laterals come off the side, and they're chipping away. Sometimes there's holes that big in the center of the road, so they have to saw cut that. Now you could put asphalt in there, but since I've been mayor, I don't allow that because to me that's only going to be dug out when you're going to have your first snowfall. Our own plows are going to rip it right out, and it's only temporary. So we have to do it the long, hard, and more expensive way, but it's a more permanent way, and it saves the road. Probably gives both of those roads another 10 years of life. And that's saw cutting through, repairing some rebar, and then cementing it back up. And so we've got to do probably about half of 305 and almost the same length of Bay Ridge. And then there's some areas that we're gonna try to fix ourselves. Then we're in the process right now when this is filmed of resurfacing about 2/3 of Ronald and a big part of Vineyard. And then those streets will be finished next year. That's all we could do this year. We ran out of money. I think people seem to think that we sit on piles of millions of dollars, but $750,000 doesn't go a long way, considering the 305 and Bay Ridge were probably close to $250,000 just doing those. Then the big project is 330th, which we postponed twice, and that street is 122 homes, so it's long, and that needed a new water line. That's why it was postponed. And then when we bid it last year, the bids came in more than 10% higher than the engineer's estimate. When that happens, state law requires you to reject the bids. Now, you can rebid if you want, but if we rebid, we would have been in the middle of the winter last year. And there was no indication that by rebidding last year, we would be able to get anything any better. And you don't want to increase your projected cost either, because that's not what I would say is accurate. And so we had the rebid this year, and the bids came in at or below the engineer's estimates, so we were able to do that project. So we sent letters out to all the residents that'll be affected, and we had a town hall meeting for all the residents on 330th, just to let people know that you're going to be inconvenienced. So just understand that you're not going to like the dust, you're not going to like the noise. You're not going to be able to get in your driveway for a few days when they rip out your apron and put in a new apron. But by Thanksgiving, you're going to have a whole new street, the newest street in the city with all new curbs, and for many of them, they'll get new sidewalks as well. So that'll be nice. So that project is $1.3 million. And we have what's called OPWC, that's Ohio Public Works Commission money. That's gone into that, some county money, and then our own road levy money. So that's kind of what we've been doing in roads. But there's so many more roads that I want to do, and I was hoping I'd be able to do 6 a year. Because if you did 6 a year and it's a 10-year levy, in 10 years you've done 60 of the 72 roads. We're in good shape.
Sure.
But now we're not able to do that, and I hope we can do more next year, but there's no guarantee. It depends on how the bids come in and which roads we want to do. If you do a long road, that's going to cost you probably $500,000. So you've got to balance it out. I try to do them in different areas of the city as well, so we're not concentrating just in one area. But it's not easy to do. So people just need to be patient with us. We're jogging as fast as we possibly can to to do road repairs as much as we can with a limited budget.
You got into the setup that they keep talking about, the cars of the future are gonna levitate. What would you do with all the money you save? You wouldn't have any roads to repair.
Yeah, why would we need roads, I guess? So good luck with that. So
How about housing?
we're in the same situation this year as we were last year, which is very good, and that is as of July, which would be the 7th month into 2014, 97 homes turned over to new owners. Last year we had 196, I think, all year long, and that by new owners I mean one last name changed to another last name, like Bondi to Larkin, and not Bondi to First Federal or Fannie Mae or something like that. So it's not a foreclosure. It's not Larkin to Larkin, which would be either a death or a divorce. It's not that. Those we keep on a separate list. I always keep track of the ones where it's one last name to a different last name. Those are going to be new families. Now, some of those could be people buying houses to flip them. That's okay too, because when you flip a house and fix it, then you're going to be selling it to a young family anyway.
Sure.
It's interesting that, and it's probably this way all over the country, if you have a nice house that's reasonably priced in Willowick, it goes pretty fast.
It's a
Then
desirable community.
Then there's some foreclosed houses that need a lot of work, and those seem to go kind of fast also, because they're so cheap. And then people are buying them to fix them up. It's those houses that are really nice houses, and you put in a granite countertop, and you did all these improvements to it, and you think your house is worth $147,000 and it's a 3-bedroom bungalow. Good luck with that. Your house will be in the market for a year to 2 years. Once you hit $120,000, $125,000, just not going to sell real fast now. So people would rather buy a cheaper house and then fix it up the way they want it. So you're between a rock and a hard place. There's some really nice houses out there. So that's a good thing that we got young families moving in again, and that trend seems to be continuing. Although we're not, interestingly enough, we're not seeing it in our income tax this year. Our income tax revenue was down last month, but then it's coming back up again this month. It goes up and down, up and down. So you got to look at it on an annual basis. You can't look at it from month to month and do any predictions. Last year it was down, and I couldn't understand that. It was down from businesses as well as individuals, and now it's back up again for the month of August. So it doesn't make any sense to me. I'm not sure why that happens. It just when people are paying their income tax. So that's the signs are good that we're coming out of the recovery, and people are spending more money. So that's a good thing.
Sure.
So
Because they pay individuals, they pay it quarterly, right?
right.
Yeah. Those of us
Right.
that have always worked in corporations, it's just gone all the time. That's
Yep.
for sure.
Yep.
Fire department.
Well, we bought a brand new rescue squad, and we'll show you that in a few minutes. And it's a state-of-the-art vehicle. I'll get the guys to show you how it works, because the other one works the same way, in that it's on hydraulics, so that when they open the door and the engine's on, you hear this whoosh sound, and then it drops. And now we have on the new vehicle an automated gurney, so it loads itself and it unloads itself. So the guys are not hauling out a 250-pound man; it unloads itself, and then the legs come down and the wheels hit the ground, and then they just start pushing. So we got a huge grant from Workmen's Compensation for that, and so we're real happy about that. And the squad it's beautiful. I mean, if you're a firefighter, you're really into this stuff, I guess. But it's a really nice looking squad. It is basically a traveling emergency room, because in Willowick and now all the other cities are following suit. We were one of the few cities that would give you a 12 lead as well as medication if you're having a heart attack. Other cities their protocol was open a artery, I believe it's the artery or vein, artery, and begin saline and transport. So basically, you're getting a high-priced taxi trip to the hospital. We don't do that. We start recovery almost immediately before we leave your house. Mm-hmm. So most cities are doing it that way now, but the new rescue squad, and of course we have 3 rescue squads. 2 of them are in service right now. The other is just a backup, and those are fully equipped with state-of-the-art equipment so that we're able to do that. We're able to make sure you're starting recovery before you even get to the hospital. When we opted to do this, I'll never forget the one physician telling me that time is muscle when you're having a heart attack, and that the longer it takes, the more your muscle is going to die in the heart. So the quicker we can get somebody to recover, the better we are. So we're happy about that.
The biggest problem you have is the hesitant male patient.
Right.
It'll pass.
Right. 3 times.
Yeah.
The 3rd time they took me to the hospital, they
Enough's enough, huh?
they said, it's just like undercover boss, because we know who you are. Oh, the disguise isn't working. Comb over is not working really well. So. But then we also have a new fire truck that just came in, and it is state of the art. Also, it's a really cool vehicle. Maybe we'll take you all the way up to the top of it.
Great.
I won't, but you and Rick can go up to the top of it. I went up halfway. Okay, I'm done now. But it is it's called a Quint because it does 5 things. Trying to avoid discussing what the 5 are because I can't remember all 5 of them. But one is heavy rescue. One is it's a pumper. One is it's an aerial ladder. One is it operates similar to a rescue squad. And then I don't know what the other one is. Probably just carries equipment.
It's a fire truck.
It's a big, giant red fire truck. But it's brand new, and it was made specifically just for us. And it's got it is not as long as our old truck. We traded that truck in. It's much shorter. And the reason for that is it doesn't go up as high as the other truck did. It goes up 1 floor less. I think it goes up 7 stories, if I'm not mistaken. And then people will say, well, what if there's a fire at the Shoregate Towers? Well, we don't fight fires that way anymore. That's Towering Inferno movies from the 70s. They don't fight fires like that. They go up into the building and they use what are called standpipes. And the high rises in Willowick are built that they're all concrete. And so if your apartment catches on fire, the one next to it will not, because it's literally honeycombed in concrete. Mm-hmm. So we will go up and pull people out, and then they go down stairwells, which are also in concrete. So we don't do things where we're putting ladders up the buildings and bringing people down. The way that it was described to me is that ladders are for fighting fires; they're not for rescuing people. Mm-hmm. So we don't do it that way anymore. No cities do, and it makes a lot more sense to have a Quint because you could actually drive that thing out with 2 guys, as opposed to the other one, which you needed 5, and you had to stabilize it, and you got to be real careful on how you put the ladder up because the truck will tip over.
Right.
So you can't put it straight up. You've got to put it at an angle, and you got to be careful with the angle, and so this one is much more versatile, and it does a lot more things. It'll be a first out vehicle, meaning that if there's any fire, it's the first one out.
Huh?
Right. The other truck, when we traded in, I think it was 8,300 miles on it. We've had it since 1996. 8,300 miles. It went nowhere because it hardly ever went out. Parades, and it was always broken. It was always being repaired. So I couldn't understand it. Everyone at the fire is, why is it broken? What's wrong with it now? So we were trading that in, and we traded in one of our pumpers because it's really not necessary to have 2 pumpers when this acts like a pumper. So it gives us much more versatility. And most of the suburbs are going this way because they don't have the personnel to man those big giant ladder trucks. This is a ladder truck, but it isn't as big as the other one, and you don't have to have that many people in it. As I said, you could drive it to a fire with 2 people.
The other one those were going for about $1 million when the last one was replaced in Mentor, I remember.
Yeah.
Because it rusted out, and this is significantly less expensive.
Yeah, I'd have to
And
look
more
up the
versatile.
price before we film over the fire department, but I think it was like 600. I may be wrong, and then I'll find out. I know the squad was $250,000. The rescue squad was $250,000. So they are not cheap. Now, that doesn't come out of the general fund. That comes out of what's called police and fire capital. And so we have a real healthy capital levy that pays for all our
Capital equipment.
yeah, for the police and fire department. So all our police cars, fire trucks. Usually the police department gets the lion's share of it year after year after year after year because we got to replace those cars. They're on the road 24/7, 12 months a year. And then it comes to a point where all of a sudden we need a fire truck, and those things are $600,000-$700,000. So they get one big giant piece of equipment that costs a lot of money. So you gotta kind of plan for that years in advance to know when that's going to happen, so that you're pretty balanced. So,
How about your police department?
police department, we've got a number of new vehicles on the road. They are we're phasing out Crown Victorias, and we're going to state purchasing with Ford SUVs. Now, people say, well, why do you want SUVs? They're gas guzzlers. Actually, the gas mileage isn't as bad in these as they were in the past. They're really not much worse than the sedans were, but it's much more practical because you can't fit anybody in those sedans anymore, especially with high-powered rifles and automatic rifles that we have in the cars, as well as an MDT, the computer that sits in there as well. So there's no room for people, and so an SUV makes more sense. And anybody watching this program doesn't have to ask what our winters are like here, and so it makes more sense to have an SUV in the wintertime. We got to the point during a couple snowstorms we had to take the sedans off the road and just use the SUVs. So it makes more sense to do that. So they're not that much more money, but they're much more practical. So eventually that's all we'll have is SUVs.
Better visibility, too.
It is. It
If you
is.
try to drive a sedan today, you can't see anything.
Yeah.
With all the big monsters turning around.
One person pointed out to me, well, what about high-speed chases? What about them? You're watching way too much television. We don't do a lot of high-speed chases. And if you were going to chase somebody in Willock with 2.4 square miles, you'll be out of here in no time. So we don't do a lot of high-speed chases. But even if we did, they have a lot of pickup in them. But high-speed chases, as you know, can be dangerous. So we don't do a lot of those.
It's a cornering more so than anything else with high-speed pursuit.
Right.
With that type of a vehicle. But like you say, it's too dangerous anymore.
Yeah, we put 2 brand new SUVs on the road. Within, I think, a week and a half, they were both smashed. I thought, geez, can't you guys smash the old Crown Vics?
Well, these were police drivers that did it.
Yeah, one was a lady plowed into the side of the car, didn't see the lights and siren.
Oh.
And then the other one was a chase. Police were working with the Lake County Narcotics Bureau, and went into Euclid to go after some guy, and it was a rainy day, and the car slid and went up over the curb and wrecked up some lady's front lawn. So you don't want to hit one of our cars.
Mm-hmm.
The city has what's called sovereign immunity, and it drives people crazy. And you know, I didn't make this law up, but it's this way across the country. Sovereign meaning king, immunity meaning immune to the law, and so you can't sue the city. So if the city was driving a police car or a fire vehicle and we hit you, and it was our fault, the city's fault, your insurance has to pay, because ours will refuse to pay because we have sovereign immunity. you can sue us, but you'll lose. It won't go to court because we have sovereign immunity. There's a way around it, and that's what we've been doing is if we have these kind of situations, which are rare, but they do happen. We had one where this elderly man smashed into one of our cars, and it was not his fault. And his older vehicle, it was an older vehicle, so he canceled everything but liability insurance. And so his car was totaled, and he came in to file a claim, and, you know, the finance director and the law director and I felt terrible. We said, you know, we got sovereign immunity, can't sue the city. So it was kind of sad, but we advised him to get an attorney and then come back with a moral claim so we can have city council pay it as a moral claim. Like if you hit a chuck hole or our plow damages your lawn or something like that, we will repair it as a moral claim. So you're gonna be careful. So don't hit a public vehicle,
Don't hit a
or
public
snow
vehicle.
plow, or even if they're in the wrong, you don't want to do that. So.
Hey, how about new developments?
That's kind of exciting. We got a lot of nice things coming in. We got a few new restaurants that opened up. Crazy Egg on 305. Have you seen that?
I've seen it, yeah.
It's really a nice restaurant. Great place to go for lunch. We were there today for lunch. The finance director and the fire chief and I went there. And then they have great breakfasts on the weekends. You can't even get in there. The owner was telling me. So I'm real happy that she's doing really well. Burgers to Beer opened up. They are going to be changing. They're keeping the same ownership, but they're going to drop out of their franchise, and they're going to have a new name by probably late September, and it's the same restaurant. I think they're going to change some of their prices and make them lower, and they're going to offer more home cooking on their menu. So. But it's the same people working there, the same owners. It's just that you're going to see a name change over there. So that's a good thing, I think.
This would have been a great opportunity for have them bring some in and we could taste it.
Absolutely.
I think you slipped on this.
Absolutely, especially the beer part. There's a store down on Lakeshore Boulevard called the Red Cottage, and it used to be Long John Silver's years ago. And this man and his mother are working there. They took it over, and it's a resale, mostly furniture in there. It's really nice. I was really surprised when I went in there. It's pretty sharp. And there's a big market for resale furniture.
Well,
which
that old
makes sense.
stuff is a heck of a lot better construction.
Yeah. And I know I bought my son and his wife and his family a house here in Willowick, and then they don't have any money to go out and buy brand new furniture. So I've been going to resale stores and trying to get deals for some good used furniture.
Sure.
And some of it looks brand new anyway. So that's a good thing. And I think it's gonna be quite successful. Great Clips opened at Shoregate, a new barber shop, hairdresser. And Shoregate Beverage will be moving. They're going to move out of that little mall part, and they're taking over the old Lake Hospital System medical
Somebody's
building.
finally going to take that building over, huh?
Right.
Good.
And we've kind of put some parameters on their parking situation and ingress egress, because you're gonna go in there only from left-hand turns. No, I'm sorry, right-hand turns. You're not going to be able to turn left to go out. So if you're going out, you're going to have to turn right, whether you go out on Lakeshore Boulevard or whether you go out on 305. Now, if you picture where that is, if you try to go left, you're going to cause a traffic jam and put yourself in risk of an accident. And plus, they're right in front of the fire department. So they're going to only be able to turn right when they exit. And then coming in, it's only going to be left-hand turns in, I think. I think we require them to go in one and out the other. You'll see it when it's done. The new building, when they remodel the old one, actually looks really nice. I looked at the plans for it. It's pretty sharp. So it's a great location for visibility. It's just going to be tricky getting in there and getting out of there. So the other big thing that's coming in that I'm excited about is Planet Fitness. You know, I mentioned that we had a fitness center coming in, and I didn't mention who it was because it was really confidential at the time. It's Planet Fitness, and they're taking over where the old Medic drugstore was, and then next door to that was the pizza place, Giorgio's Pizza, and then right next to Giorgio's Pizza was Lakeland Community College. All three of those stores now are one big open space, and it'll be Planet Fitness. It'll be a state-of-the-art fitness center. I'm not sure when their grand opening is going to be. Our recreation director and I are going to be over there talking to the owners, to their corporate people, to try to get some type of a break for Willow residents, to get them in there. So we do a ribbon cutting over there pretty soon. So I think that's a real good thing for Shoregate. And the main entrance is going to be on 305, which is what we've been insisting on right along.
Yeah.
Because then the parking goes over there, so you're not putting more parking in front of PD's and in front of Giant Eagle.
Make all the turns and all that other stuff down, that's for sure.
Right, you're putting it on the other side. So that'll be pretty exciting because that's going to be huge, and that's a national chain. So we're real happy about that. And then by the end of October and the first part of November, we'll have a shovel in the ground dedicating the new Willow Beach. That's the senior housing apartment complex.
Yeah.
There'll be 50 units in there for the elderly, and they'll be right on the lake. They'll have a garden in there. They'll have it's independent living. It's not assisted living or anything like that. But it was, out of all the projects that were put into proposal form, there were 133 of them, and only 30% were funded by the state. And of the 30%, ours was second in number of points. And the reason for that, a couple things. First of all, is the need for housing for the elderly. Secondly, is the location and the amenities of the community. It's perfect. You're on a bus route. You're right across the street from shopping. You are literally seconds away from police coming on a 911 call, and you're probably 2-3 minutes on a slow day from having a rescue squad coming for you if you need those services.
It's gonna work out for us, so basically there's 48 other openings. We've got the
Right.
first two.
That's right, my kids will want to come. Taking our golden retriever, Finnegan, just Finnegan and me.
There you go.
Actually, it's the perfect location, and it's right on the lake. And the other thing that I keep reminding people, it's probably going to be populated by half Willow Oak residents at least. That being the case, 25 more houses that are going to be really well maintained and taken care of will go on the market. 25 more new families come in. So perhaps next year, 2015, instead of 197 families, we might have 225, 250 new families move in. So it's a win-win-win. So we're happy about that. So
You and I can sit here and talk about this would be a great thing, but something about leaving your house, I mean, and you run into this with your parents, I mean, they really can't handle everything. This would be ideal, but no, I've been here for so long, and we're no different than they were.
And I never thought about that until a couple of years ago when it dawned on me one day that in my house, all the main living spaces are on one floor. So you go up 3 steps in the front of the house, and then the foyer's there, the laundry room, the dining room, the kitchen, the great room, the breakfast room, the master bedroom, the guest bathroom, the master bath, and then the sunroom are all on one level.
Sure.
And I never thought of that.
It's the only way to go.
Yeah, my kids' bedrooms and another bathroom are upstairs, and then there's another bedroom and the game room and the media room and all that stuff. The den is downstairs. But if I were to age in place, I don't need any of those things.
No.
So you could actually shut the other 2 levels of the house down and just stay on one level, which makes some sense.
Make sure the kids are out of there before you shut it down.
Yeah, soon. I'm working on that. Please, launch. So we get arguments about that all the time.
Oh, yeah.
I'm doing a housing fair. We've never done that before. I noticed that Euclid did something like this. So I'm kind of flying blind. We've never done anything like this before, and there aren't too many models for it. But I'm looking at the mid part of October, where I'm working with the Lake Geauga Association of Realtors and Lake Geauga Area Association of Realtors. And they think it's a wonderful idea, and KeyBank wants to partner with me as well. And so what we want to do is bring all these potential buyers into the community center, buyers and sellers.
Okay.
Give a little presentation on the amenities of this community of Willowick. Have somebody speak from the schools, have our recreation director talk about parks and recreation. Have somebody come in and talk about churches and the community spirit and things like that. And then they will break into groups, and we'll take them on buses to open houses that are available in Willowick that will be open that day. And then, like say you went to Group A, there was Group A and Group B, then you'd come back to the community center, and then you go with Group C or D, depending on what houses you want to look at. Everybody would get a folder with all the information on all the houses in the city that are available for sale, including by owner if we can do that. And then you go back out and you look at the next group, and then you go on your own after that. And if you want to make an offer, great. You want to see a house again, great. I just think that I'd like to see the city help people sell houses, because we have a vested interest in these houses being off the market.
Yeah. So in other words, after the program is over, the homes would still be available for the people to go back on their own and
Right.
look at it a second time or something. That's good.
Right, you'll have all the
Normally they
information
shut
right in
down
front of them.
around, what, 4 or something like that?
Yeah, and we would do the same thing, but then they would know what houses they're interested in, and in their packet would be the information to call that particular real estate agent if they wanted to. So I think that it'll work out really well and hopefully move some houses. And by that time, our magazine will be available. That should be coming out by the end of September. The theme is Willowick Faces. The Faces of Willowick is what I came up with for the theme. And got a really cool cover. We took a group of kids at day camp, lined them up. They all have shirts that have the city logo on them. Line them up, and the first kid's doing this, the next one. And
How do you do a W as an that had to be 2 people.
everybody, now if you do it right, she kept bending her elbow, though. I said, keep your elbow straight.
Can't get it up that high.
But people looked at it and said, oh, they're spelling out Willowick with their bodies. I mean, you can, if you're into OHIO, you know what WLOWCK means. So it's gonna be kind of cool, and that'll be mailed out. It's actually gonna go out in the Willowick Courier probably in November. And then I'll have that available for all the people that are interested in houses, that they'll be able to see the amenities of the community displayed in the magazine. So that's pretty cool. So you want to go on a road trip and look at?
We can do that.
You're like little kids in Boy Scouts. They always want to see the cells, where we have guns, and the trucks. So let's go look at the trucks.
Seniors qualify as that again, huh?
Yeah, someday we'll have to go down into the range and show you where the officers shoot. That's an area that people really don't get to
This
see.
could get dangerous.
Yeah, they've invited me down there, and I said, yeah, I'm not gonna
Been
do
to a
that.
range in a long time.
We have one other new thing too, in terms of the police department and our safety forces. We have installed at the 2 schools a special button that if a secretary hits it, there's no alarm that goes off, except that everything going on in the office is now available to our dispatch downstairs. And so any noise, anything going on in the office, our dispatchers know what's going on without a phone call.
So they have voice and sound? I mean,
Right.
excuse me, picture and sound.
I don't think there's picture, but
Okay,
there
you
there
got
is
the
sound,
sound.
but there are cameras in there. And then all of the schools in the Willoughby Six system will have bullpens now, they're called. Royalville and Willow Middle don't have them yet, they'll be in by the end of the year. If you go to North and South, they do have them, and that's when you go in the doors, you're locked inside. And there's usually an office on the left, and you have to state what you're there for.
Okay.
And then they'll let you in. So you can't just walk into the building. High schools are problematic because there's doors all over, and, you know, you knock on the door and some kid will let you in between classes. So, you know, you got to fight against that. But it's another level of safety. And then with that special button, our police can be there in the matter of literally seconds, probably a minute. As soon as dispatch hears that go off and sees that there's something going on, or hears that something's going on in the office. So that's a good thing.
It's another level of security.
Another level of security, absolutely.
Okay,
So-
let's go check out the fire trucks.
Sounds good.
In August 2014, the Willowick Fire Department took possession of an E1 Typhoon class Quint fire truck. The 5 functions of a Quint is a 2,000-gallon pump, a 500-gallon water tank, fire hose, both supply and fire attack, an aerial, and the ground ladders. The cab seats 6 firefighters. There's a driver-operator, there's a seat for a command officer, and 4 firefighters. The compartments provide enough room to carry the tools required for immediate intervention of the emergencies faced by the Willowick Fire Department.
So, right, we'll go ahead and open the door here, and you'll notice the squad drop down. There you go, it's pretty loud. That's just the air system. It allows the back end to drop down so the cot can come out. There's a little tab right here. It's pretty, right, it's really effortless. Right, one man can operate it, which is good. So, right, basically I can pull this out with one finger. There's little lights here on the side that indicate that when it's in the proper position for the legs to lower. And if you notice there, I'm not sure if the camera angle caught it, there's these little arms that actually lowered down and it released the cot. Right, there's a button on here to where we can lower the legs, and that claw or arm, right, is still in contact. So if we're on an uneven terrain, the cot and the patient won't go anywhere. So that's kind of a safety feature there. Right, there's another button on here that you press to actually release it from this system here. Typically, if there's a patient on the cot here and we're going inside the hospital, right, we'll lift this up, right, slide it back in, and shut our doors. With the cot, it's very similar to our old one, other than this one has power. Some of the features are a little bit different. This telescopes here, so if we have to get into tight quarters, right, we're able to make those corners. But obviously, being a power cot, this is one of the best features. Right, it's all one-man power operating system. This holds up to, I believe, 650. No, I'm sorry, 700 pounds. So it'll easily lift 700 pounds. If we're over 700 pounds, I'm sure with a little bit of muscle, we can help. If the system fails, if the power system fails, there is a manual mode, and it works just like our older cots. There's a release handle right here, and we can operate the legs to lower and raise that way. Yeah, we'll get that.
I'll take that, get out of your way.
Oh, okay. So basically the same thing when you load, just reverse the process. Like I said, I mean, you can really do this all with one hand. All right, we'll wait for that green light to come on. That indicates that it's locked in. And then if you come over here, actually, if you want to come over here, right, you'll see these arms here. That indicates that the whole system's locked in place. That's it.
Okay, thank you very much.
That was quick.
Have a good fall.
Yeah, it's
Thank you for joining us, and make it a great day.